What if the personal development, wellness, and spiritual industry is telling you a lie? I know that's a strong statement, but if you've been told that personal development is all about good vibes and positive thinking, I think you need to think again. If you're ignoring what's wrong, if you're ignoring the darkness, if you're ignoring the pain, then you're not healing. What you're doing is a superficial form of personal growth. Unfortunately, the industry is selling a very convenient, very profitable fantasy. Let's get real. We live in a challenging world and there's lots going wrong. If we are going to tell ourselves that positive thinking, great visualizations, affirmations are enough to fix our lives, that, my friends, is not the whole truth. We live in a very dysfunctional world. It's a world where we've lost connection. It's a world where the systems that govern us, the corporates, the governments, are simply inaccessible. This is a fundamental reality of the modern world. I must be honest, I feel overwhelmed. I feel powerless within a system that's designed for us not to be able to reach it. So what do we do when the world feels so hostile? What do we do when we feel isolated, when we feel powerless, when we feel neutered? In my book Wild Divinity, I wrote a poem called Cracked. It spoke of a character that smoked crack as a simple, temporary escape from the terrible reality that they were living. But when they came back from their high, things were even worse. And that's the issue here. When we try and solve our problems, when we try and grow in our own personal development without actually taking into consideration the reality of the world we live in, then our growth is only superficial. In the modern world, our attention is hijacked by so many different distractions that capture and actually hijack and retain our attention. We're lost to reality. And this is where a lot of the mainstream spirituality or wellness or personal development programs sell us a lie. When we try to fill these with rah-rah, inspirational, positive statements without taking into consideration the underlying reality, the toxicity of the real world we live in, we are lying to ourselves. We're told that whatever we believe, we can achieve. That we need to think positive and attract these things into our lives. And while there is an element of truth in it, that is not the entire reality. We need to look at the darkness. We need to go through the pain. We need to examine the reality in which we live before we can really have agency and create a new reality, not only for ourselves, but for our society as a whole. To ignore the real battlefield and pretend we're in a beautiful garden without any weeds is a lie we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel better. For years I've struggled with this. How can I deliver a positive, inspiring message when at the same time I see the absolute darkness and toxicity of the world we live in? This seemed to me to be a contradiction. But the actual reality is it's not. Acknowledging the battlefield in which we live is the first step towards progress. It is the fundamental step towards healing. True development is not about running away to a monastery or living in a cave. It's about being able to regain our sovereignty in the chaos. It's about forging resilience. It's about being aware, not being in denial. It's about facing the world the way it is without the need to run away or dissociate, facing it head on and doing what we have to do to change ourselves and the world as a whole. So I've come to realize that my work is not to sell you an escape, but to tell you the reality. And the reality is not always pleasant. My work is about offering tools for resilience and survival. My work is about uncovering the truth of what the world is and who we are. And we are more powerful than we've ever been told. But first we need to acknowledge the toxicity. A positive message without taking the darkness into consideration is toxic positivity because it gets us nowhere. I struggle with this daily. I see the toxicity of the world. I see the disconnection of the systems within which we live. But my quest is to find a way to be able to function within this world and to create something better than what we have right now. So my question for you is, what's your form of escape? And what do you need in order to overcome that and regain your sovereignty?